Welcome to This Explainer. If you've ever felt like your organization's planning sessions are just, well, going in endless circles, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're drawing from John M. Bryson's authoritative work on strategic planning to unlock a framework that completely transforms how teams think and act.
Really ask yourself this question. How do you turn a room full of competing ideas into a single actionable strategy? Anyone who's sat in a frustrating circular planning meeting knows exactly how hard it is to align complex goals. You've got passionate people, you have brilliant ideas, and yet somehow, when you try to put it all together on a whiteboard, it just looks like a giant, incomprehensible mess. Why is it so incredibly difficult to get everyone pulling in the exact same direction?
Section 1. Taming Strategy Chaos. So, as our source material points out, virtually every strategic issue involves intense, yet absolutely necessary conflicts over resources, actions, and priorities. In public and nonprofit organizations especially, you actually expect, and honestly hope for, these intense conflicts. It means people care. You're debating what will be done, why it will be done, how much of it will be done, and who's going to do it. But without a framework, all that healthy conflict, it just turns into organizational gridlock.
Section 2. Enter Visual Strategy Mapping.
Which brings us to our hero tool, Visual Strategy Mapping, or VISM. So what is it exactly? Well, it's a technique used to help groups figure out exactly what they should do, how, and why. Instead of just writing up bulleted lists of random goals, you create word and arrow causal diagrams. The arrows are literally the most important part here because they force you to prove that one thing actually leads to another. It visually maps out the influence and the literal cause and effect relationships between every single thing your organization does.
And you'll definitely want to deploy this technique to cut through the noise when you're making sense of complex issues, when time is incredibly short, and when the emphasis must be on action rather than just, philosophizing. Plus, because everyone builds the map together, the participant commitment is basically baked right into the process.
Section 3. The Logic of the Arrows. Now, the core logic here is incredibly straightforward. If we do action A, we can expect to produce outcome B. It sounds basic, but it's rigorously logical. You have to start action A with an imperative verb. Think words like do, get, buy, invest, or create. You don't just say better staff. No, you say invest in new staff training. That forces it to be a real, tangible action.
The arrow really is the secret sauce. It visually represents the cause and effect relationship that justifies every single decision. Whenever you draw an arrow from A to B, you're essentially making a promise. If we do this, it will cause that. This literally weeds out bad ideas on the spot. Because if someone suggests an action but cannot draw an arrow to a desired outcome, well, that action doesn't belong in your strategy.
Section 4. Mapping Strategy in Action.
Okay, let's dive into a real demonstration to see how we build one of these causal chains from scratch. As we walk through these 4 steps, the crucial conversational prompt you need to keep asking your team is, what would happen if we did that? Or what are the consequences of doing this? You start at the ground level with a specific action, and you just keep asking that question to build your way up the ladder to your ultimate mission.
Notice how the starting point on the map has to begin with an imperative verb, like invest, to make the strategy feel tangible and urgent. This is something we can actually put in a budget. It's something we can assign to a human being to execute tomorrow. It's not some vague concept, it's an immediate action.
Then, by repeatedly asking what happens next, we link our immediate improvements directly to our larger organizational goals. We invest in the training. Okay, what happens if we do that? Well, we get improved service quality. Right. And what happens if we get improved service quality? That leads directly to increased stakeholder satisfaction. See how the arrows act as the logical glue holding the whole strategy together? And that brings us to the top of the chain. High stakeholder satisfaction leads to our ultimate end, created public value. Now, creating public value isn't just some academic term. It is the ultimate North Star for your entire operation. Now, you can trace a direct, irrefutable line from paying for a training seminar today all the way to creating long-term public value for your community tomorrow.
Section 5. Why Strategy Mapping Works.
Take a look at this real-world complex map from the Loft Literary Center. This shows how multiple causal chains weave together. I know, it looks super intense at first glance, but remember, it's really just dozens of those simple action A leads to outcome B chains layered together. Notice the specific actions down at the bottom, like providing competitive compensation, all pointing upwards, influencing each other, and ultimately driving towards those high-level boxed goals at the top, like ending the year with a balanced budget.
This brilliantly illustrates exactly why VISM handles massive complexity so well,
Because it allows participants to see the underlying logic of a strategy, chains start to form actionable clusters. When you map it out visually, you see groupings of actions that naturally belong together. It takes all those competing ideas that cause so much stress in planning meetings, and it totally tames them. It gives everyone a clear picture of exactly how their daily tasks link directly to the ultimate mission.
As John M. Bryson beautifully summarizes in our source text, strategy forms a purpose-driven bridge between the organization and its environment. This visual method is exactly how you build that purpose-driven bridge to success. A strategy isn't just a document that sits in a drawer. It's an active, logical bridge. If you have gaps in your bridge, like actions that don't lead to outcomes or goals without action supporting them, your strategy is going to collapse. Visual mapping ensures your bridge is structurally sound.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take into your next messy strategy meeting. What public value will you map out tomorrow? The next time you find your team talking in circles, step up to the whiteboard, write down an action with a verb, and draw an arrow. Start building that bridge. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to explore our next topic with you.